You have done therapy. You have done healing work. You have done spiritual work. So why are you still not fully free? Why is something still there? Why do some of the same thoughts, the same feelings, the same reactions, or same patterns keep showing up again and again? What if the reason has nothing to do with how hard you have been working on yourself? Most people I work with have done a lot, and I mean a lot. Sometimes I'm like the last person they come to. They are not new to this. They have had many sessions. Oh, they have processed things, like done a lot of emotional work, emotional crying, feeling into deep, deep emotions. They might understand their patterns. They can tell you where it all came from. They got the insights, and they have made progress. And a lot of that work actually really did help. That part is real. But maybe they have more awareness now. Maybe they can see their behavior more clearly. Maybe they can catch themselves sooner. That's a big one. Yep, now I got it. Oh, I can feel that feeling. Catch it before I go into that behavior. Maybe they do not react quite the same way they used to. But even with all that, something is still there. Again, it's still there. They still feel it. It's still interfering. Now, this is the part that people get tired of, weary, because when you have worked this hard, you expect to feel more free than you actually do. And this is where it gets confusing. You did all the right things. Okay, basically, you really did show up. You showed up and gave it everything you had. You tried really, really hard, and you really looked at yourself. You may have even written things about yourself, writing down your behaviors, writing down your reactions, writing down what you see yourself doing. You face things, truly, you really like, oh, I can feel this reaction. I'm going to look at this. And you truly faced it. You put in the effort. So why is it not fully gone? Why do you still feel anxiety sometimes? Why do you still get pulled into the same emotional states? Why do some old reactions still live in your body? Why can you understand something clearly and still be affected by it? That goes to show you just thinking clearly doesn't change things. Okay, this is the part that people do not understand. And when they do not understand it, they often turn onto themselves. It's really true. They think, maybe I am blocked. Maybe I'm missing it. Maybe I'm doing it wrong. Oh, this is the big one. Maybe I should be further along now, but that's not actually the truth. It is not that therapy, healing, or spiritual work do nothing. They do help a lot. They bring awareness, understanding. It's vital to have these understandings. They bring awareness, and they can also give you insight. And they actually do bring you some relief. They can help you understand yourself. But understanding something is not always the same as being free from it. That is the difference. The thing is you can understand the pattern and still feel it. You can know where it comes from and still react to it. You can have insight and still not be fully clear. Why? The big why. Because some things do not fully clear at the level most people are working at. This is the angst of everything. This is the bottom line. And until the actual root of what is still running gets found and cleared, the issue can stay active underneath everything you already know. That is why people can do years of work and still feel like something remains. Not because the work was useless, but because it did not fully reach the part still causing the problem. The thing is most healers and therapists do not know this. They're limited to working with the mind, with the thoughts, with the emotions. So this can actually look like this. You understand why you people please. Okay, that's a big one. People please. Okay, but you still do it. You get where it came from. You know the fear, but your body still reacts. And you've talked about it repeatedly. Okay, many, many times you've talked about it, but it still has power. You feel better for a while, and then the same pattern comes back. You know you are worthy, but something in you still does not feel free. You can explain the issue beautifully, but you are still living with it. That is when people start feeling defeated. I see it all the time. That all this work, all this money spent, years of therapy, giving it everything they got. And because they think I've done so much, why is this still here? Again, the answer is not always more thinking, more processing, or more effort. Sometimes the real issue is that what is still active has not actually been cleared. This part is really huge. It's really big. Because if you're still having a reaction, it actually truly means there's still something in there you haven't found yet. I want you to do this. I want you to think about one issue you have already worked on a lot. Okay, something that you understand, something you can explain, something you thought would be gone by now. Okay, so now be honest with yourself. Can you still feel it? Okay, feel in. Maybe you don't feel it all the time. Maybe it's not in the exact same way, but is it still there somewhere? Just notice that. Okay, because that right there is important. It shows you that awareness happened, but freedom is not complete yet. If you want, notice where you still feel it in your body. Do you feel it in your chest? Maybe you feel it in your stomach, maybe up in your throat. Maybe it's in your solar plexus. Don't try to force anything. All you're doing right now is just noticing. Okay, I just want to remind you of something. This does not mean your work failed. It doesn't mean you wasted your time. And it does not mean you are broken. Okay, this is really important. People get frustrated and they want answers, or they give up. Okay, what this really means is the work did help, but it did not fully reach what is still causing the issue. Okay, that is a very different understanding, big difference, because you see that you stop making your lack of total freedom mean something is wrong with you. And you start realizing there may simply be a deeper layer that still needs to be cleared. Very simple, very basic, but very true. There's always something. Anytime there's still a reaction to anything, it just means there's something you haven't found yet. That's it. There's just more to discover, more to find. What I do is help people identify and clear what is actually underneath all of this. Not just what they understand, and not just what they've talked about, not just what they've temporarily gotten relief from. Okay, basically, they're not going to know what these angsts are. They're not going to understand it because it's in the subconscious. They cannot know what is in the subconscious. What I do is I track what is still active, okay, where it began and what it actually is doing to keep the pattern in place. And when that is cleared, things do not keep coming back in the same way. That's the awesome part. Once it's truly cleared, it's gone. Gone. No more thoughts, can't find a thought, can't find a reaction. So if this is you, comment "not free" below, because I want you to name this pattern instead of silently assuming you are the problem. So now you can see it more clearly. You can understand something and still be affected by it. That is why more thinking, more processing, and more effort do not always set you free. All that emotional work, all that ranting, raving, all that expression, it did good, but it's still not reaching something very deep. If something is still there, then something deeper may still be active. Okay, so really, stop measuring your healing only by what you understand. Start paying attention to what still has power over you. And if you are ready to clear what is actually underneath it, that is the work I do.